So we are going to be doing a in-depth spoiler review for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is the sequel to the first Black Panther movie. Cultural phenomenon, huge hype. People were buying out theaters, bussing in, churchgoers, kids, even 90-year-old grandmas who don't care nothing about the MCU superheroes, don't even know, what I mean, anything about that. Was like, when's that Black Panther going to be on screen? And they watched it, and there was a huge moment for the culture and everything like that. So now this is a follow-up movie. Obviously, a lot of things had to change with the movie. A lot of things had to change with the movie, of course, because of the unfortunate passing of Chadwick Boseman, and a lot of things had to be restructured and rechanged with the script and everything like that. So you have this movie here with them dealing with a new threat in the form of Namor. Namor, who is the leader of the Talokans. He's coming in. They're coming into conflict with him and his people, as well as the outside world. If you remember the ending of the first Black Panther, where T'Challa was like, "Hey, we're going to open our borders. We're going to share our knowledge and resources with the other countries in order to help them." Now the ramifications of that decision is kind of coming back on them, because a lot of these other countries are getting greedy, and they want more, and they're not feeling like Wakanda is living up to their end of the arrangement. So I talked about it yesterday, and I gave my thoughts on it, but I wanted to toss it to Chris, because I want to hear his full thoughts on it, and for him to kind of discuss all the things he loved about it or disliked about it. So Chris, I'll let you take it away, man.
So yeah, Ryan Coogler, he went on record saying that the original plan for Black Panther 2, he was writing this deep mental psyche exploration, like this. It was a true character study of T'Challa. It was going to be Black Panther 2, and then sadly, Chadwick Boseman passes away in 2020, and he has to pivot because this movie has to come out, but so he has to completely change direction, do a massive rewrite, and from beginning to end, how the movie starts, how it ends, it's actually a character study kind of Shuri, but not quite a character study because there's so many characters who we meet and learn about. But it starts with Shuri, praying to Boss for the strength and the ability to save her brother. The movie starts off with T'Challa in peril, and it ends with her on the beach, coming to the end of her grief, burning the white clothes, and she has that moment her mom told her about. Sometimes I can feel the wind, and it carries your brother's hand. I can feel him on my shoulder. I think she had that moment, but instead of being a mental psyche exploration of T'Challa, it was more of that for Shuri. And watching the movie, especially when she takes the synthetic heart-shaped herb and goes to the ancestral plane, who she sees, that's just a major tell of where she is mentally, because she, doesn't see her father, her mother, or brother. It's spoilers. It's Killmonger, and we know that because of what's on her mind. She loses her mother to Namor's first attack on Wakanda, and now, like what Queen Mother said, I am like, my entire family is gone. That's now Shuri. Her father's gone, brother's gone, mom's gone. There is no one left, as she says in the movie. The last person who knew who I truly was is now gone. So she's now on a revenge tour, very similar to Killmonger. She has hatred in her heart, anger, and revenge. So when she takes the heart-shaped herb and goes to the ancestral plane and sees Killmonger, that was a very effective reveal. And for me, this continues to be Michael B. Jordan's best performance, this particular character. This is the only time I personally felt like he tapped into a character and played something that was not just a different version or expression of himself. So that's what I really liked. The way how this movie was a very clear and and um, necessary passing of the torch from T'Challa to Shuri. Um, um, I know that in the comics, the the main reason why she has to take over is because T'Challa falls into a coma, and she temporarily takes up the mantle. So that kind of that really worked. Um, uh, yeah. My only gripe, if I the smallest thing I have in that
Mm,
same vein, is the fact they killed off the queen, the mom.
mm,
I thought with everything going on with the immense loss of Chadwick and T'Challa, there wasn't anything like I didn't think that was necessary at all. I thought this whole movie was already about loss and feeling this massive void. It just I don't know the loss of Queen Mother didn't hold a lot of weight. I just didn't feel like they needed to do that. I feel
mm,
like they could have made a nod to the comics and have the aftermath of Namor's attack. Maybe the Queen falls into a coma. Like maybe she takes a hard hit, falls into a coma, and that's still enough for Shuri to be angry at Namor, enough to want to kill him, and to still see Killmonger when she goes to the ancestral plane. I disagree with the creative choice to kill off the Queen Mother in this movie.
mm. Okay. Interesting. So to address some of the points you said, interesting you bring up Angela Bassett as Queen Ramona and her death. Well, first, I want to ask you, um, do you think they should have recasted T'Challa? Now that after you've seen Wakanda Forever, do you think they should have recasted him?
Now that I've seen it, I am very happy with how they're handling it. Um, Ryan Coogler had so much love and respect for Chadwick. He would never do. I'm not throwing shade, but Star Wars, you know, they have a habit of bringing back people who are no longer with us for their movies, and it doesn't always work. It's obviously not really them. So I'm really glad that no one took deleted scenes from the first one and used them to kind of sprinkle Chad in here, any new footage. Everything we saw of Chadwick in this movie was old footage. Everything we've seen before from the first movie, all of his interactions, it's everything we've seen before. It wasn't anything new, which I appreciated. I didn't need a digital reanimation
Mm,
of T'Challa. I really didn't. So um, Shuri taking up the mantle, being a reluctant leader. I love her new suit, and then the mid-credit scene, um, revealing why Nakia wasn't at the funeral, revealing why she wasn't in Infinity War or Endgame. She's been away for there's a 5 year gap in during the blip during the snap, so there's 6 years later because it's a year after T'Challa's passing.
mm,
It's revealed they have a son, and there's a lot of love for the country of Haiti in this movie. And they have a son named Toussaint, which is his Haitian name. He reveals his Wakanda name is T'Challa, and Sherry, his auntie, asks in Wakandan, "Who are you?" And he goes, "I'm Prince T'Challa, son of King T'Challa." I was like,
mm,
emotional damage. Um, um, there's definitely a way to keep T'Challa in the MCU, and I think this way you do that. In Black Panther 3, age him up. That's all you got to do. Age him up, and then this is T'Challa's son, T'Challa. That's it's as simple as that. I was if you go back to my TikTok, when the news broke that they would not recast him in the six MCU universe, I was like, that makes a lot of sense. But that doesn't mean they can't do any multiverse stuff and cast who I thought at the time, Javante Rhodes would be a great T'Challa. But
mm,
but seeing how this movie played out, I like how they handled it better. Um, because it's true. Anyone, um, uh, Trevante Rhodes, Aldous Hodge, Yahya Abdul Mateen, even Jonathan Majors, any of them, anyone who takes up the mantle of T'Challa is going to be compared to Chadwick. Chadwick was the king. Before this role, he was a phenomenal actor.
mm,
Everyone's going to compare them, and instead of appreciating what we have now, they're just going to compare to Chadwick. So rather than do that, I liked how Ryan Coogler wrote this story and included that mid credit scene. So to answer your question, I no longer think we need to recast. I think in Black Panther 3 we age up Toussaint.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah,
basically, I guess it was a happy, maybe medium compromise. I think that they did with bringing in
yeah,
T'Challa's son in this, and the mother being Nakia, Lupita Nyong'o's character. By the way, cool that Lupita Nyong'o in this movie got to speak Spanish because she is born. She was born in Mexico. So that was very cool that they got her to do that. And I saw a fun video of her and the actor who plays Namor dancing, and then I saw that was a cool clip. I saw that. Did you see that clip?
I did. I did. It was a beautiful moment, a beautiful celebration of culture and people of color.
Yeah, it was nice. They even got low and everything. He got real low. Them knees good.
They
He
got
got
look.
the
Yeah.
yeah, got them mega knees. He dipping low. So that was really cool to see. I like that. But yeah, so that was cool for her character. So yeah, so it's kind of like I guess a good happy kind of compromise that they did there that you can say. And they always have loopholes to age people up, time jumps and, I don't know, maybe he gets stuck in some place and he gets aged 10 years or something, hyperbolic time chamber. I don't know. They'll come up, maybe some way to age him up or do something. So they could do that always. Yeah. And like you said, I mean, hearing I saw an interview with the creator of the whole recast of T'Challa movement and him talk about it. And I understand his point of view of it, and how this character T'Challa meant a lot, because young black boys, and how young black, especially, were very excited for Black Panther when that movie came out. Like I said, I think it's hard to really replicate what happened with the first Black Panther, when it came out in 2018, because it was such a wave of, you know what I mean? Like it became like a huge cultural phenomenon and kind of what happened, and everybody was doing the Wakanda Forever, and everybody was doing the salute, and everybody was doing that. I mean, I think it was kind of tiring Chadwick the fuck out though a little bit. I think just a little bit. I mean, I know he gave an interview. I think it was on the Breakfast Club where he said like, "No, I think it's cool. Yeah, it's awesome." But I bet a little bit it was kind of getting on his nerve, just maybe a tad bit. But yeah, so I think it's hard to kind of replicate that same feeling again. Even in a sequel to it, as much anticipated as this movie was. And I asked Kasem this question. Kasem was the guy I had on yesterday, in discussing the movie, and he's a black male. And I kind of want to throw this question at you too. Do you think the movie? And I'm not trying to, I'm not one of these weirdo dudes on here. I said this before as well, where it's just like this movie is black female feminism and it's taking away men's male masculinity, all this other stuff. I'm not one of those dudes at all. I think this, But I wanted to ask you about: do you think this movie is somewhat lacking in black male representation at all, or black male presence at all? Because you do have Winston Duke as M'Baku, who's the only other really prominent black male figure in Wakanda that we see. And I love him in the movie. I just don't think he's in the movie a whole lot. So I just want to get your thoughts on that.
That is a totally fair observation and criticism with the lack of Chadwick Boseman, the lack of Daniel Kaluuya. Like I just watched the first Black Panther like 2 days ago, and that scene where they're feeding the rhinos, I'm just like, we'll never see this again. We'll never see these Titan thespians, Boseman and Kaluuya, sharing like these two incredible actors. We'll never see them sharing a screen ever again. Um, and I hate to like compare and throw shade, but we're getting Creed 3 soon, and Jonathan Majors is just a different level from Michael B. Jordan as an actor. So it's a very fair criticism. Winston Duke is the only prominent black male figure in the film, and he is there now for counsel to the royal family of Wakanda, as well as still continuing to be comedic relief when he walks in and calls Okoye, "You bald-headed demon!" Like that was so funny. But that's definitely a fair critique. It didn't ruin the movie for me or affect the movie, because even the first film, it was all about how these black women were the foundation of the strength of Black Panther. His sister made his technology. His general, his warriors were women. His mother was the queen. Like his support system was primarily women. And you know, in 2017 when we got Wonder Woman, we were reminded it's okay for boys to look up to strong women as heroes and inspiration.
Mm.
Young boys can look at Okoye and be like, I want to be a general. I want to fight because I saw Okoye take on 5 blue people, and if they were enhanced, they would have they would have stayed down. Because as she told Queen Mother, I struck blows that should have left them down, but they got back up, and
Mm.
then she lost her position. That was a tough scene. When Queen Ramonda took away Okoye's title and status, like not just no longer general, you're out of the army. Like you're a civilian. Like it's not just you're
Mm.
not like it's no longer like it's not even a demotion. You're just out. You're fired. Like that was rough. And Denai Guerrero's skill as an actor,
Mm.
her eyes welling up and her face just really everyone's performance was top tier here.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but yes, the Winston Duke being the only one, there's definitely in comparison a lack of um black male figures in this movie for sure.
Mm. Yeah. Um, Kasem, he had a good answer to that, where he said, like, M'Baku in this movie, he is, like you said, counsel to the royal family, to Shuri. And he is that support because he's making a lot of sense in this movie, Winston Duke. When because Shuri's driven by rage and by anger and by vengeance, he's like, let's think about this for a second. You know what I mean? Let's fully think about what we're getting ourselves into here before we go full out here and to, like he says, eternal war that this would be between us, between, I guess, these are two of the most powerful countries in the entire Earth, I guess, in the MCU, I guess you could say, that we have here. So that's kind of, I think that's also good to see a character, like that who is giving good support, you know what I mean, a black male to a black woman, in a movie like this. I think that's kind of good to see. And like I said, I thought he was really good in the movie. It's just that he's in the movie such a short time. One criticism I had, well, I have other criticisms, but one of the criticisms I did have of the movie was I felt like with the length that this has, it being 2 hours and 41 minutes, a lot of people have talked about the length, maybe being a little too long, possibly being just like, some parts of the movie feel like it's not worth that length. Did you feel like the time that we spent with Martin Freeman's Everett Ross or maybe the Riri Williams stuff, that they could have cut that stuff and given it to other parts of the movie and kind of bolstered those other parts? You could have maybe given that to the Talokians. You could have given that to the Wakandans. What are some of your thoughts on that?
I will definitely say, for me, keep Riri because this was a good introduction for her. Just like, in the MCU, before a new character gets their own show or a new movie, they make an appearance in someone else's movie, and then you get more of them. So for me, that's Riri Williams, Ironheart, and I believe Ryan Coogler is also producing her series.
Mm,
Um,
okay.
I with everything we when it's all said and done, I think you can cut some of Martin Freeman's stuff. Um, Even though he is the link to Shuri and Okoye finding Riri, there's they can cut things around it. Is it? It's a cool detail that he was married to Valentina Allegra de Fontaine.
Mm,
Is that in the grand scheme of things? Is it super important? Probably not. Probably not. So yes, you could cut some of his scenes out and give more attention to Namor's right hand woman and right hand man. The two
mm,
who kind of stood to Okoye. The one who kept calling her a warrior. We don't. He's he has presence. He has gravitas, and we know he's meant. We know the way he's positioned on screen. He's important to his people
mm,
and to Namor, but we don't know his name. I don't think we know his name. I don't think we know, just anything about his character in particular. Same with the woman, with the big headdress.
yeah.
I think more time could have been given to Namor's people, not just Namor, but like his people. Way in the first Black Panther, we got to meet Okoye and Wakabi, and so yes, I think some time could have been cut from Martin Freeman, everyone's favorite colonizer, and and give some more time to the Telokans for sure. Yes, I agree with that.
Okay, yeah, yeah. It would have been to know more about the kind of like you said, the right hand woman and man that he had by his side, Namor in the movie. That would have been really good to know more about them because, like you said, yeah, I could bring up. I don't remember their names. Like, they probably said it in the movie. I don't exactly remember. Not to say that they weren't memorable. It's just that you know what I mean. I think that they did because they did have presence. I liked she had a very distinctive look with the headdress, and he had a very distinctive look with the as physically massive as he was. He was almost like their M'Baku, I guess, in a way, as physically
Yeah.
imposing as he was. So yeah, I mean, I think you could have devoted that time to kind of developing some of those other things in there. Well, since we're talking about the Talokans anyway, Namor, how did you feel about him? And would you want to see a movie just with him?
So, all my knowledge of Namor came from my co-host Sam, who like always sends me screenshots, sides of panels of comic books, and he's just horny for Sue Storm, and Sue Storm's kind of horny for him. Um, but I didn't know, like, in this movie and this interpretation, I loved how Ryan Coogler once again brought culture. They're not Atlanteans. They're Estelo Khan, and it's based off of Mayan culture. And the language they speak is unfortunately a language that's only spoken by less than 1,000 people. I think Ludwig Göransson said that recently in an interview when he was making the album. Um, they speak Yucatan Mayan is their language, and I liked. We continued to talk about colonialism and how the Spaniards, the conquistadors, came down to South America and forced Spanish, the language, and Neymar calls it like that dogma language. I was like, I like that. The indigenous people are like, we don't claim that language. This is our language. It's kind of a dying art because of colonialism. But yeah, we don't speak Spanish. We speak Yucatan Mayan. I thought that was really cool, and we saw it in the trailers. But to see the movie, the way he whips through the air with the wings on his feet, he darts around like not a bug, but just he zips through the air like a giant fly. Like, it's hard to. I imagine anyone else flying with him, like Riri, it's probably hard to catch him. He's so agile and he's incredibly strong. I was not aware of his skill set. I just knew he was the Marvel's equivalent to Aquaman, even though Namor I think was created like a year or two before Aquaman, like in the
Yeah,
early
he was created.
1940s.
Yeah, way before. Yeah, way before Aquaman. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I really liked him in this movie. I liked his strength. I loved Tenoch Huerta. I think he really killed it. He brought a sensitivity, but still a domineering strength to this character. Like he's speaking to you softly with respect, but he's also telling you exactly what he's going to do if you don't cooperate with me. Like I'm trying to make this work, but for our people to survive. But if you don't help, I'm gonna have to come to Wakanda and drown you. Like he's a very fair and just, blunt, say it like it is. I know in the comics he's supposed to be a bit more arrogant, more full of himself, but in this movie, from what I saw, he's a very fair and just leader, and he just cares about his people. So I love the wings on his feet. I love the pointed ears. My ears are kind of pointed. So
Mm.
whenever I see characters like elves or
Vulcans.
leprechauns, it's funny. It's funny hearing. Well, not funny. It's cool hearing uh, Namor say, "I'm a mutant," without hearing that
Mm.
because this is the because our first introduction is Charles Xavier in Multiverse of Madness, and they play the 1992 theme, and then Kamala Khan finds out she's a mutant, and then do it again.
Mm.
In this movie, it's not that kind of MCU movie. It's very serious. he says he's a mutant. There's no because we don't need that.
Mm.
But for him to say, I was born with wings on my ankles and ears that pointed to the sky, I was like, I like that, and the explanation of how his people came to be. Like even the Telecons had their own um, herb or medicine that they mashed down to a liquid that you could drink, and it
Mm.
turned their skin blue, and it made them like oxygen was no longer suitable for their skin or whatever. They had to draw oxygen from the water. It
Mm.
was a great explanation as of how they came to be. And it's hard not to compare it to Aquaman, which kind of it didn't gloss over it, but it was like, yeah, the power of the trident, even though it sank us eventually, it gave us the power to breathe underwater. Okay, I prefer how I prefer the history and lore of the Telecons. I think it was handled with more attention to detail.
Mm. Yeah. I like that. I liked a lot of stuff with the Talokians, and when you see the city, the underwater empire. I love that. I love when Namor is taking Shuri on the tour of the city, and I like how both these cultures they mirror each other so much. They got their own version of Wakanda Forever with the Rise Talokans. They have their own. Yeah, they got it's morphin time. They got their own little kind of like.
Yeah.
Also, some people say Kamehameha. You got that kind of going on. There's that. So they have their own version of that with kind of there with Wakanda Forever, which is nice. Which is Nick was telling me that was something that the actors made up. That was something that Namor and then the people there that is like his main right hand woman and right hand guy. They made that up. They were like, we should have our own kind of sign like that, like how the Wakandans have. So I like that. I like that they kind of brought that in there. And the music that plays when she's exploring the city was really good. I thought the music again in this movie, the score in this was also really good. How did you feel about the music in the movie?
Once again, Ludwig Göransson, he knows what he's doing. I just watched an interview with him. He went to Mexico. He did his best to find indigenous instruments, like old school instruments, to really conjure what it would really sound like back in the day. Like, what did ancient Mayan music sound like? Like, he did his best to find the instruments, and he found actual rappers who rapped in Mayan, who rapped in
Ooh.
Yucatan Mayan, and found that. So go back to the latest album for Black Panther. We got it right here. It's Leilil Gusa Ana One. I butchered that, but
Mm.
yeah, it's really great, and there's the music that's playing for me. The score that really stood out to me was in the third act before Shuri completes um, successfully completes the synthetic heart shaped herb. There's a score playing. There's some music playing. It's light. It's angelic. It's hopeful, but it's still very strong with that African percussion. Um, and like
Mm.
in the beginning of the movie, those white balls that were turning red because the success rate was failing, they
Mm.
turned green because it was a success. And she takes the heart shaped herb. So yeah, as far as the score goes, I loved it. A lot of direct parallels to the first movie, like
Mm.
like that same song plays when Queen Mother is coming back to Wakanda, and we see shots of the valley of the land,
Mm.
mountains, sunsets, and then we get the grand opening of Wakanda. She enters it. Like, it's the same sequence from the first
Yeah.
movie. My prince or my queen, we are home. Same scene, and small scenes like that were kind of were parallels, but it wasn't like what we talked about over DMs about people complaining about it being a carbon copy of the first one. There were certain story beats that rhymed verbatim, but it was not a carbon at all because it can't be. It's impossible for it to be.
Mm. Interesting you bring that. I was going to go there next because you brought up the anti colonialism themes that are in this movie, like how it is in the first one. And then some people are also saying that the character of Namor is very similar to Killmonger, if not the same character. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that's some of the criticism I've heard. So, do you think this movie is any way basically just the first movie over again? Or you told me no, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely not. And it can't be. Chadwick isn't here. We are missing a lot of black men, previously said, um, and the tone, the cinematography. Like people complain about the MCU looks the same. This movie was shot differently. Like there's a lot of on-set locations, and you can feel it. Like they're around real trees, real water, real sand. They didn't, it's a limited amount of blue screen background. Um, there were times a lot of this film felt like an independent film. There isn't. It's almost 3 hours long, and most of that time is characters talking. There is not, besides the fight on the bridge where Shuri gets abducted, um, uh, Namor's first attack on Wakanda, and then the final fight. There's only 3 action set pieces, which is like one action scene per hour, if you want to break it
Mm.
down that way. Where where like the first Black Panther, it was the opening mission, saving the people. It was T'Challa versus M'Baku. It was the Korea mission, um, like the casino fight, the car chase. Like there was the second challenge, the first challenge between Killmonger and T'Challa. Like there's in the first movie, that's like 6 action set pieces for a 2 hour long movie.
Mm.
This one is almost 3 hours long. There's only like I'm counting on one hand how many action set pieces there were. So for me, there's no way is this a carbon copy. In this movie, it's revealed that there isn't just like this movie opens up the doors and expands on the MCU. There's more. Vibranium also found its way into the ocean when it first crashed on Earth. It's not just in Wakanda. A piece of it found its way into the ocean, and that's how the Telecons have it. That's how Namor's Mayan getup is vibranium. Shuri can tell by looking at it. Mom, he's covered in it. Like, what do you mean he's covered in it? Only we have vibranium. No, some of it is in the ocean, and all the people in the world who are upset that you're not doing your part are fiending for it. And now Riri Williams has developed this radar to track it. Like, what's going on? Like, what your decision is affecting us. Um, and that is a parallel to the first one. Your decision to not help is affecting Black people all around the world because you're deciding not. But if we're gonna compare Namor and Killmonger, I think if you see the movie and you're paying attention, Namor has a lot more compassion than Killmonger. I don't think Namor would. Nothing could ever draw Namor to kill his own people. What did Killmonger
Mm.
like do, and what did he admit to? Like, I took life from my own brothers and sisters right here on this continent just to kill you. Like, this man, his little Bonnie to his Clyde, he shot her just to kill Claw. You know,
Mm.
like they are both extremists, but Namor has a level of compassion and love in his heart that Killmonger just doesn't. Like, Killmonger is full of hatred. He wants to burn the world, and so does Namor, but not at the cost of his own people. Killmonger is willing to sacrifice his own people for his goals because he's just so full of hatred and vengeance. So um so no, these movies are not the same at all. Like, they're tonally, like, the loss of Chadwick makes this movie tonally inconsistent from the first one, and that's not a complaint. It's just a necessity.
Mm.
Ryan Coogler had to rewrite. So
Mm.
tonally, this movie is completely different from the first one. This is not even close to the first one. You can compare them, but they're not the same.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think it's the same as for the similar themes, but I think if you watch the first Black Panther and the end of that one, has T'Challa's decision to open up the borders, give tell every all the other countries about Wakanda and about it being as powerful as it is. This is the ramifications of that decision. Which is what you want a sequel to do, to follow up what happened in the first movie, you know what I mean, and build upon it and kind of advance from it. And I think that this movie did that with, having the whole United Nations scene, which was a great scene from Angela Bassett, by the way. That was one among her great scenes in this film. Also her costume design in this movie was very good. Her, Okoye, Very good costume design they did with a lot of people there. That I appreciate it. And I want to know what workout regiment Angela Bassett's. Them arms look good. Them arms is fantastic. I want to know that trainer. I want to know that secret because that is just fantastic. That workout regimen she's been kind of going through. But yeah, so I thought you had that scene in there showing that. And the fact that yeah, everybody's going to be trying to go after this vibranium, and then you bring up like you said the whole Namor discussion with Killmonger. People compare it's like, well, it's just Namor's just the same as Killmonger. No, he's not the same. Like you said, Killmonger is very much like you can tell he prioritized black people, but he was just at the end of the day he was all about himself. He was selfish. He was only driven by his own anger and rage and vengeance, and he wasn't even thinking about the future because you saw that when he burned the heart-shaped herbs because it's like what if you have children? I mean, wouldn't you want your children to continue your legacy? But he didn't. He didn't even have the sight to look past himself into the future. It's just like, no, I don't want anybody to ever possibly challenge me ever. And I'm going to burn all of this. So yeah, I thought that was I think that's kind of the difference. You said Namor cares about his people, and you see a lot what he's saying, and you see the compassion he has for his people, especially that scene where one of his people dies, that's dying in front of him, and he's trying to he's holding her, and she asked him to save him. I thought that was a good scene. I thought that was kind of a really really good scene. You see the anger in his eyes there.
Powerful.
So
Very powerful.
I thought that was kind of great performance by him as Namor. I thought that was really great, and he from what I understand about Namor in the comics, of him being kind of arrogant, him being kind of also very threatening, asshole-ish, pretty much a dick, I guess, as how you kind of say it. I think he portrayed that very well. I think when you see the compassion scenes when he's with Shuri, he's talking to her, showing her the city and everything, and you see that moment, and then the next scene after that, it flips when he's talking to Queen Ramonda, and she threatens him about telling the outside world, and you just see him just that switch just gets flipped, and when his people are in danger, and I like that a lot. Also, I don't believe that line he said about hey, you're the first outsider to ever come see. I mean, I don't know. I think that's a player line. He's gonna say the same thing to Sue Storm when she comes down there to Talocom. He's like, you're the first surface person ever to see this before. You know what I mean? What do you think? I think he was kind of bullshit with that, but yeah. So I did enjoy that. I don't think that this movie is the same as the first one. Do you think that this movie is better than the first one?
Oh man, I think I gotta see it again. It definitely hits harder for obvious reasons. And again, the inclusion of Telecon, black and brown people, be pit against each other because of what the United Nations are doing. Like they're right now they're fighting, and then at the end of the movie they come together and they form that unity that honestly Namor prefers. He prefers a unity between Wakanda. If we can be friends, I'd prefer that. I don't fight you. Like I will if I have to, but I'd rather us work together. Like we both have vibranium. We would be the strongest force. And again, that's just further proof the distinction between Namor and Killmonger. Killmonger is not willing to comply or work with you. No, like as you said, Josh, he's selfish. He is inherently selfish. Um, but man, again, missing the presence of Chadwick, it's hard to say which one was better. Um, this one definitely hit harder emotionally, but the first one really was a celebration of. We no one knew Chadwick was fighting cancer. No one knew he had stage 4 while doing this, like all these stunts and just acting his ass off. No one knew. So it's hard. I'm gonna say no. To answer your question, I'm gonna say no. I've seen the first one so many times. I can tell everyone exactly why I love it. I've only seen this movie once, um, and I gave it 4.5 stars in Letterboxd. I gave the first Black Panther 5. So if
Mm.
that tells you anything, but I do need to see this movie again, and my opinion might change because your opinion is allowed to change. People out there on the internet who want to get mad.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Your opinion's always allowed to change. For me, I think it's stronger in a lot of elements than the first movie. You do feel the
Yes.
weight missed by Chadwick Boseman, and yeah, I wish he was still here. I mean, not to just be in a Black Panther movie, but just I mean, he was a true talent. I mean, he really was.
He was he was a modern leader to the community.
Yeah.
He was.
So so that's a shame. You can't replicate a feeling like this of the emotional weight and impact that this is going to have because you're hopefully knock on wood, hopefully no other lead actor passes away due to unfortunate circumstances like cancer or anything like that. You can't really replicate that, and I think you have that in the movie and the way they do it. Doing it right away, the beginning of the movie, the funeral and then the death and everything like that. I thought I was kind of
Right.
surprised. I was like, damn, you ain't gonna work into it a little bit, like at least kind of, you know what I mean, give some people some time. It's like nope, right away. I was like, oh, okay,
Right into it. Right panic mode.
yeah. So I, I yeah,
The king is dying.
yeah, I thought that was kind of rough. Do you think they're doing that on purpose by being kind of intentionally vague about his death, saying it was just an illness, potentially trying to maybe I don't know, set up some other stuff down the line? Do you think that was on purpose?
So yeah, when this happens, because this isn't the first time an actor has died and it makes their character die in the story. I don't know how many people watched Glee, but when Corey Monteith passed away in 2013, played the main lead, Finn Hudson on Glee. When he passed away, when it came for time for the show to handle his passing, they said, oh, it was an accident. They didn't say car accident. They didn't say injury. They didn't say natural causes. They just said Finn had an accident. That's all they said. And in this movie, they said, oh, it was an illness. He was sick. We don't know what it was, but he was sick. Um, and it's sad because you would think in Wakanda we can heal bullet wounds overnight with vibranium,
Hmm.
but the smartest person in the world who who was like who told the person who told Bruce Banner, why didn't you just reorganize the things to work collectively for Vision? He's like, because we didn't think about it. That person couldn't help her brother with whatever it was. Like maybe coming back from the snap had some effect on his health. Maybe like how in Marvel's What If, Jan Van Dyne got a quantum realm virus and came back as a zombie.
Mm.
Um, yeah, it's just when someone passes away, I guess they don't feel the need to get specific. We know they're gone. That's all you really need to know. So yeah, I think they intentionally keep it vague. Illness. What kind of illness? We don't know. Just he was sick. It came out of nowhere. We weren't prepared for it, and by the time we found out, it was late. Um,
Yeah.
so yes, I do think it was intentionally handled ambiguously. Like, don't get too we're not gonna say T'Challa died of cancer because in Wakanda that's probably not a thing. Like vibranium probably is good at shrinking or removing cancerous.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was definitely intentional. But to answer if I can go back briefly to your last question, I do think Wakanda Forever is the better made film. It's
Okay.
the better made film. Um, the best comparison I can think of is Thor: Love and Thunder, which is filmed on the volume,
Mm.
and then Eternals, which is Chloe Zhao filming on the. You can visually tell the difference between a soundstage with a green screen, blue screen,
Mm.
and on-set locations. Wakanda Forever had a lot more on-set locations, and it felt more like a film than a blockbuster superhero movie. So, Wakanda Forever is definitely the better made film compared to the first one.
Mm. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. They keep it very vague. They don't say specifically what it was. I was looking at a video that said that they gave some possible reasons what it could have been. Like you said, maybe returning from the snap. Maybe it's because he ingested the heart shaped herb like multiple times over the course of like a few days or a week. Maybe there's a thing in the comics called like vibranium sickness, where people do get sick from, I guess, too much vibranium, I guess, or being around it. There's something like that in the comics, so maybe that could have been it. There was reportedly there was some leaks that somebody did that Doctor Doom was supposed to be at the end of this movie. I think the person who leaked that information was right about other stuff as well. So I don't know how true that is. If Doctor Doom, I mean, I think Ryan Coogler said it. I forgot exactly who said it, but they said that Doctor Doom was never involved with this movie at all. He was never going to be in it. So I don't. So I think that was like someone from Marvel said that. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah. So that they kind of keep it as vague as they do. To circle back to something you said before about the action scenes in this movie, there's, like I said, I guess bringing that up, yeah, there's only kind of just one per hour basically, and I think they look really good. The fight on the bridge, like, no quick cuts, no, you know what I mean, anything like that. You feel it, and it's like no music playing. It's just like you feel the raw nature of it, of that fight of Okoye versus that. And everybody in my theater, I don't know, maybe it was the same with your theater. When she got slammed against that staff, it was like, ooh, everybody in my theater went, ooh, you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
it was like,
Yep.
damn, and everything like that. So that was kind of really great. This does, one of my other issues with this movie, it does have the ending of like the two big armies fight each other, which is like a typical MCU Marvel thing. But I think the difference for me with this one is I actually cared about both, battle. I actually cared about both armies. Because it was like, well, I actually kind of really like the Talokans and I really like the Wakandans and I actually don't want to see them fight each other. And I actually really, really cared about both armies, kind of getting into this conflict. So I think there was more emotional weight and investment for me in this than before in previous kind of battles and everything like that. Even though like that whole, like they, again, they have the whole, like, okay, the two main, like the main bad guy, main hero, are gonna fight somewhere else, and then you have the two armies fight, in another location, so you can cut back and forth. I really don't like that. But I mean, the whole thing about Shuri when she said on that beach of like, hey, surrender and they want to spare your people. Wakanda's was getting washed. I mean, they were losing bad. I don't know, like, like you know what I mean. I don't know why he yielded per se, because when they came back, it was like they were on the edge of the ship, but getting ready to be tossed over. Like I was like, okay. I mean, so I was just kind of like, oh, okay. But did you think some of the costumes at the end, like with Ironheart and with Okoye, and what was that other character's name? Michaela Cole. I know that's the actress's name, but what was her character name in the movie? I can't remember at the moment.
Um, Okoye, Io, because her and Io are a thing. It's at the end of the movie. They're together.
I forgot what was her name in it. But you have Michaela Cole who's in this movie, and you'll know when you see it because she has like a face that people get Botox for. Like she get plastic. Like she just has such a signature kind of look about her. Real beautiful woman. Yeah, I thought that stuff looked really goofy. I thought. What did you think about some of that stuff there?
Um, so she plays Anika, and
Anika.
Anika is the character's name. I do agree with Okoye. Like with the suit, even Okoye in the movie called the suit ugly. The Midnight Angel suit,
Yeah.
the blue jetpack, armor suit. It doesn't look very functional. It doesn't look very it doesn't look it looks very clunky. Like, how do you fight in this thing? Like, I think it's primarily made for rescue missions, like diving into the water, punching a couple of telecons, pulling Wakandans out the water. Like, I don't think it's made for boots on the ground combat, because it flies, it's fast in the water. Um, it's not the most aesthetically pleasing outfit that in the movie, because there are some really but yeah, the design for the Midnight Angel things, it does look very aquatic. Like, it looks like a fish suit,
Mm.
which
Yeah.
I don't know if that's because they're fighting Telecon and Namor, but no, but Shuri made a fish suit.
Uh, and what did you think about the Ironheart suit?
um, um, when she like first escapes, or the one that's more updated in the end.
The one at the end, the finished version.
The one in the end. I liked it. It's like her own version of Mach 1. Like Tony had a Mach 1 suit that was super clunky and bulky and didn't have everything he needed yet. This is just her first suit, and she did it at age 19. I think I
Yeah,
think Riri is supposed to be 19 years old.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm not mad at. I'm not upset with anything that Riri did in the movie. Everything going on with her made sense to me. It was really cool to see two genius black women bond over the fact that they are genius. And she quoted Chadwick, to be young, black, and gifted. She said that in the movie when they came to her dorm.
Hmm.
I was like, wow, like I like that. That's what Chadwick said during the SAG Awards when Black Panther cast won for best ensemble, like to be young, gifted, and black. And the fact that Ironheart and Shuri are bonding over um, young brilliance isn't something the elders always appreciate. I was like,
Mm.
it's true. Elders want to assume because you're young, you know less than them. So when you know more than them, they're like,
Mm.
nah, no, I don't like you, kid. Um, but yeah, her suit it's only gonna get better. Like in her series, it's gonna become more compact, more sleek, uh, more more what's the word more mobile. But yeah, in this movie, it was a big clunky like how do I fight in this thing kind of.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, I didn't really like either of those suits. For me, I didn't really like the Midnight Angel suit. Like, I agree with Okoye. Like when they put it on, I was like, yeah, this doesn't look too good. It is kind of, it's pretty much comic accurate, for the most part, for what it is in the comic. The Ironheart suit, yeah, I didn't really kind of like the whole look of it all that much. And I don't know. This is kind of one issue I had. I don't know how much passage of time there is, like after Queen Ramonda dies, and when they regroup and try to do all this. It's like building all these suits and then assembling all these people, and then she becomes. It's like how much passage of time that there is in between that, between when they do the battle. Like I don't know, like a week, 2 weeks. I was kind of a little confused on that for the most part there, of how much they were able to do before that. And Reba Williams, I didn't mind her as a character. I like the actress. I like the character. And to me, she was what Shuri was in the first movie, providing that comedic relief and that young spirit, because Shuri couldn't really do that much because, of the emotional trauma and grief that she was kind of going through. So I like that. But I did feel like that was like a very much like a Marvel insert of like, listen, we got to build up enthusiasm for her Disney Plus show that's coming, and we got to kind of put her in here, there. And so that's the way I kind of felt about that a little bit. And kind of an issue I had a little bit with Namor's, with his kind of line of thinking. It's like he's very obsessed with Riri Williams, and getting her and killing her, because if we kill her, she can't build any more of these vibranium detecting machines. But I'm like, well, I mean, if somebody has her machine, couldn't somebody just replicate that technology even if she is dead? Like, or I guess the movie did stress that she's the only person that could make this ever. But I'm like, well, somebody could possibly just copy what she did with it. I mean, did you see kind of an issue with that?
Um, Now that you mentioned that, I do remember when that was brought up. They're like, so you built this machine in this garage and you leave it open on your desk, and she was like, oh, don't worry, I have so and so encryption. Like, I had to make something to crack it open because it was so tightly locked. So I was like, okay, I guess um it's impossible for the blueprint or the plans for this thing to be stolen. But uh yeah, for me at least, I wasn't too bothered. I wasn't too bothered with that.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay. And then with the Talokans, so some of them could die, right? I mean, if you just like shot them in a particular or stabbed them in a particular way, or
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Because I was kind of like, how did they get up from Okoye attacking them? Like, how did they necessarily get up? But then,
yeah. Like they're in. I know they're enhanced. Like I know the blue people are have superhero have like are stronger than usual. They might have a healing factor because they got back up after she ran them through with the vibranium spear. And then later on in the movie during the war, some of them do stay down. So I'm not sure what the rules were exactly. Um, what counts like in Aquaman, they established the whole highborn thing. The highborns can breathe out of the ocean, but if you're not a highborn, you need like a water neck thing or a water mask to breathe.
mm,
So it might be that kind of a situation. Like unless you um like the closer you are to Namor in strength, maybe the less like you are to stay down. But some of them were staying down. So it's a fair point to question.
mm, yeah. Did you have any like issues like that in the movie that you saw, like kind of anything like that?
Um, so yeah, so for me, my I love this movie. My two gripes with this movie, I mentioned the first one earlier, killing off Angela, not necessary. You can still get Shuri to that pit of anger and vengeance without killing her off.
Mm,
Just have her almost die, put her in a coma, and let Shuri be like, "Wow, I lost my dad, my brother. I almost lost my mother to you after we talked about working together." Like now it's on. Like you're going down, Namor. Like that would have worked. You did not need to kill off Angela Bassett's character. Like with everything going on, that really did not sit well with me. And the other thing was the time in which Shuri appears as the Black Panther. Her suit, the suit reveal. It's a superhero movie. I when when she first showed up in the suit, and it's went to the elders. I was like, okay, like my audience, the theater, applauded when she first showed up. But I'm like, something is missing. I'm not feeling the effect of this reveal. Imagine if she's still being the reluctant leader, like, Sherry, it has to be you. It has to be you because you're next in line. No, I don't want it to be me. Okay, mom's gone. I think it has to be me. But by the time she comes to that conclusion, the war has already started and she has to like arrive as the Black Panther because it's the belief that Wakanda has lost the protector. Without the Black Panther, even I think Namor says it like without Black Panther, you guys stand. Only the Black Panther can probably um like Wakanda's only hope to stop me is the Black Panther, and he's gone. So
mm,
imagine if the war starts in the middle of the ocean and they're on that weird ship thing, and Namor is just whizzing around taking things out, and then Shuri enters in the suit. Like it just would have been a bit more effective. I didn't feel that the hype of her suit reveal because she landed in the middle of a meeting with the, imagine if she showed up as the Black Panther to save the day in the heat of battle. That would have been a bit more exciting. But I think
mm.
that's a smaller nitpick compared to killing off Queen Ramonda after this brilliant Shakespearean level performance she gave. So yeah, those are my two gripes: killing off the queen, and the suit reveal of Shuri.
Thank you, Javon. Good. Thank you for stopping by. He says he's got us on mute because he hasn't seen the movie yet, so he don't want to be spoiled. Thank you. Thank you for showing up, man. Thank you for showing support and watching there, even if it's on mute. Do you think Angela Bassett, Oscar nomination? You think?
I think it's definitely in the cards. I wouldn't be surprised. The first movie had was nominated for best film, best score, best costume, and I think one more thing. Like it had seven nominations and it won three. It won three Oscars, right? I think.
I believe because
I
it
might
won
have that
like
wrong.
best score, best
Um,
costume design.
it won best costume and maybe one other thing, but it had like seven nominations and it won. It had six or seven nominations and it won half of them. So, um, in this movie, as I said, it's a better made film than the first one. I wouldn't be surprised if this film got best cinematography, best editing, best sound mixing, best supporting actress, and Angela Bassett. I think that's definitely a possibility,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would be particularly that mad about Angela Bassett being nominated because I think even if people didn't weren't that excited about the movie, I think generally people walked away going, "Man, Angela Bassett knocked it out of the park here." I mean, she really did her thing
Every time.
in this movie. I haven't heard anyone say like the performances in this movie. I've heard some people say the writing may be kind of bad. The writing is bad. Maybe some of the stuff doesn't really make sense, but the performances are good. A lot of people do remark the performances and the more Angela Bassett, Letitia Wright, who did a great job stepping up. I mean, this was a hard task to try to kind of fill those shoes, and I think she did a wonderful job in the movie. And you are right. So that the movie did win 3 Oscars. The first Black Panther. The movie did. Let me see exactly what it won for here. So it was nominated.
Costumes, score.
Let me see exactly what it won because it was received nominations for Best Picture, Best Original Song, Best Sound Editing, Best Sound Mixing, and won Best Costume Design, Best Original Score, and Best Production Design. Those were the 3 that it won, and the
Okay.
Oscars at the 91st Oscars. So those were the 3 that it won. Yeah, which I thought costume design and the score for the movie were really good. I thought those were really, really great things, and I think this movie too, the score they have for the Talokans, they have their own music that kind of comes in,
Yeah.
very well done. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to mention about Black Panther: Wakanda Forever?
Yeah. As we're talking about score and the Talokans, briefly talking, just talk about how Ryan Coogler brought a little bit of a horror spin on the Telekons, like the siren thing,
Mm,
like how mermaids in folklore can sing and bring men to their deaths,
mm,
by like making them go into the water and just drown. They did that like twice, and it was scary each time. Like the way they, in a triangle shape, like formation, poke their heads out the water and just start singing, and like people just like hear it and voluntarily walk off the plank. And then once they do, they grab him and stab him. I'm like, this is intense. This is scary. And Namor's first attack against the oil rig, the facility,
mm,
it's nighttime, and we don't see what's happening, but we just know this people are getting killed. There's a man who grabbed the back of this helicopter while in flight, spun it around like Goku, and just threw it. Um, and it's nighttime, and the scene ends. It's like the camera is pointing upward, and it's just Namor's silhouette against a dark, cloudy, stormy sky in the sea. It's scary. Um, and there's something scary about their song too. Their sirens. Um, was there anything else I wanted to say? I thought Killmonger was a really effective um, placement in the story for him to be the person who she sees, and to talk about how King T'Chaka, your father, was a hypocrite. Your brother was too noble, um, and she calls him, you were the unworthy king. You weren't the unfit king. But he's like, I took care of business. Like, T'Challa let the man who killed your father go. At least I brought him to justice. At least I got stuff done in the time that I could. Like, it was a very interesting conversation to have. Um, so I thought that was really good. And again, M'Baku's counsel at Queen Mother's funeral, um, like it was really well done. And to have Winston Duke in that role, knowing that Wakabi's gone, Chadwick, like, T'Challa's gone, just having that older black male figure being counsel to the younger woman who's now the sovereign ruler, for me at least, was really effective. And yeah, just the world building in this movie. We go to Mexico, we go to Haiti, we go to Telecon, and just the doors really expand in Wakanda Forever. At least for me, at least.
Yeah, go to Cambridge, Massachusetts. We'll go there. The
Yeah.
foreign land there. Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a lot of strong elements in this movie, quite a bit, when it comes down to it. And yeah, it was a pleasure talking to you with about it. Are you going? When are you going to see it again?
Possibly tomorrow. I got these. I got two free passes to I pay for a AMC A list, so like three free movies a week
Mm.
because that's how often I go to the movie theaters. But I got a hold of two free passes to a Regal theater, so I'll try to use those tomorrow. Um, but yeah, just final thoughts. Half the movie is a love letter and tribute to Chadwick. The other half continues to push forward the MCU, continues to open the lore and go forward. I think Telecon and Namor were like really great um, inclusions into the world of Wakanda to expand. Because moving forward is what this movie is kind of all about. Like we're acknowledging what we lost, but we still have to continue to move forward. And this is how we do it. Half of it is spent mourning and honoring Chadwick while still pushing the story forward. Like anyone who says, "Oh, this movie was a 3 hour long eulogy or something like that service," it really wasn't. The story still pushed forward. Like Ryan Coogler knows this is the MCU. I can't just make a sequel that stays in the same spot. We still have to push forward, and Tenoch Huerta, Namor, and all of that was the perfect way to do that. Honestly.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, and I do really agree with you about the Queen Ramona to death. I thought because I was when that happened, I was like, damn, y'all not finna do this, are you? You're not finna, it's like,
Yeah, like
I was like, oh, come on. And I was like, not in a bad way, but just in like a really sad way. I was just like, man, it's just,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, like it doesn't it didn't ruin the movie in a sad way. Like again, like we just had a funeral scene, and now we're doing it again. Like before the movie dropped, and that picture of white and mourning outfit, I was like, oh, that's Chadwick's funeral. It's not. It's the Queen's funeral because there's two funerals in this 3 hour long movie. I'm like, really again? Like, come on! Like, how much more can we lose? It's like, um, for me at least, watching Thor: Love and Thunder, Thor lost Asgard, mom, dad, brother, best friend, and now the only woman he ever like truly loved. Like, what else can we take away from these people? Like, what else are we gonna like? Everything in the MCU, like the Shuri lost her family, um, uh, the Scarlet Witch, she lost her family. Um, it's just sad. Like how much more can be taken away. So it didn't ruin the movie for me, but it was not a that creative choice just was not what I would have done. That's all.
yeah. Speaking of creative choices, what do you want from Black Panther 3?
Black Panther 3. Yes. So we will never see this with Chadwick Boseman's T'Challa, but I've been educated. I don't know if you know shout out to King Lion on TikTok. He's a big comic book guy. Um, I've learned a lot about Black Panther from him. I can count how many comics I've actually read. Um, I'm a big DC fan, so I've read a lot. I've read mostly Batman stuff,
Mm.
but I've learned that in the comics, at least, the Wakandan Empire expands into space. Like there are like the Wakandan Empire is not just Earthbound. Like they they explore the stars, they settle on planets. Like Wakanda is deep, like it is out there. So I think if the same way how Ant-Man 3 is going big with just a full exploration of the quantum realm in a way we've only got bits of pieces of, it would be cool if in Black Panther 3 we could truly like Black Panther fans calling the first movie mid because it didn't do all the cool badass things that Black Panther is known to do. Like in the comics, Black Panther has beaten Hulk. T'Challa himself has summoned celestial weapons from like ancient Wakanda to defeat gods. You know, like it'd be cool to see something like that. Like let's really show some the power of the Black Panther. The whole point of the Black Panther being a mantle passed down, you have the knowledge and just the skills of all the past Black Panthers with you, meaning every Black Panther that continues down the mantle is stronger than the last because it's just a culmination of power and knowledge passed down. So for me, Black Panther 3, I would love to see the Wakandan Empire expand into space
Mm.
for me.
So is the Black Panther man? Is it like the Avatar, like in Avatar: The Last Airbender? Is it
Kind of, yeah.
okay?
Kind of, yeah. Because you can anyone has the right to challenge, but it just usually doesn't pan out, and it usually stays in the royal family, and so it's just the next after next. Like in this movie, they said, "Oh, King T'Challa was the biggest blessing to us since King Bashanga discovered the heart shaped herb." Like it's like this royal family has been the royal family since the beginning of Wakanda. Like it's never T'Challa's bloodline to be the ruler. Like um it is kind of like the Avatar. It is passed down and it is the culmination of knowledge and power.
Mm, okay. For me, I don't know what the plans are for Ryan Coogler. I mean, I would imagine he would come back and do Black Panther 3, finish out the trilogy. Apparently, he's being going to be tapped to maybe do bigger projects for the MCU, maybe Secret Wars. There's rumors that they're talking to him and trying to consult him to do that. So I'd be interested to see what he does, maybe on a bigger like scale like that. I still would love him to go back to doing like more smaller movies. Like I loved Fruitvale Station. I don't know if you consider Creed a smaller movie, but kind of something, just something away from the superhero genre. But yeah, with 3, you see more of what's going to happen with the other nations. I'd like to see more of that. Are they going to actually make an invasion on Wakanda? You saw that. What's his name? That actor's name, Richard Schiff, I believe is his name. The guy from West Wing. Who's one of the government guys, and he's talking about destabilization. That's what America wants to do to Wakanda. So, are we going to see that happen? You do have Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character here, Val. Is she going to take her team of Thunderbolts? Are they going to go to Wakanda and they're going to possibly try to steal some vibranium? That I mean, it's going to be interesting because like the people on that team, there's some conflict there because you have Bucky who's going to be on that team,
Yeah,
and Bucky
I
he
was
owes
about
a
to
lot.
say
He owes a lot to Wakanda. He had his own nickname in Wakanda. They gave him the White Wolf. He had his own nickname there.
White Wolf. Yeah,
And that brings up another. I forgot to mention another element. I don't know what they're going to do with Martin Freeman as Ever Ross because they freed him from he was going to go to prison for treason, and I imagine that's going to be start kind of like give a justification for them to maybe go in there as well. Is because like hey you broke this guy out of prison. I don't know what name are they going to give him. White Badger. White Weasel. I don't know. I don't know what potential nickname they're going to give Martin Freeman there. But yeah, so I imagine that's also going to be some other justification for them to kind of go into Wakanda. Yeah, so I guess I don't know. Again, I don't know really much. I know the guy, the TikToker you're talking about, King Lai. I see him too on there a lot. On my, I think I follow him. I see him a lot on my For You page talking about that. So I don't know what other like big villain that you could bring in. Maybe you could bring in Doctor Doom in the third Black Panther movie. They kept the illness kind of vague. Maybe they're gonna say Doctor Doom was behind it, but I don't know exactly how I feel about that because I don't want Chadwick's death to be used maybe in that particular way for kind of comic book story purposes. But yeah, I mean potentially having and him being incredibly as a genius as he is, maybe that could be a good setup for him to be introduced. But I would imagine we would get a Fantastic Four movie before we get a Black Panther 3 movie. We would get that before we get a
yeah,
Black Panther 3 movie.
for
So
sure.
maybe he's going to be in the Fantastic Four movie there first. So yeah, those are kind of some of the things. If anybody has any ideas of what they want from Black Panther 3, somebody who's very well versed in the comics, let us know in the comments below. I'll be very interested to read your theories about what they're going to be planning on doing with that. I guess. I mean, I guess depending on the success of this movie, Kevin Feige, he was talking to a fan who was dressed as Namor. There, he's like, "Well, we're getting a Namor movie." He was like, "Well, hey, it all depends on the success of this movie." So, you said, I mean, you'd be pretty down for a Namor movie if they did that, right? You're pretty down for it.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you asked that question earlier. I after seeing the movie, hell yeah, hell yeah. Give is the credit said introducing Tena Huerta. This is his first thing, and he demolished it. He killed it. He was so good in this role. Give him his own movie. Give him a Disney Plus series. I don't know, but give Namor and Telecon more for yes, absolutely. And I love the flashback with the conquistadors and burying his mom. He explained his name Namor as in no love, like the child without love. Like I like that detail.
Mm.
I thought that was I thought that was uh good. That was good.
Yeah, that was kind of good detail. Yeah. Actually, it kind of reminds me of a small gripe. It's like, how did Lupita Nyong'o's character Nakia find exactly where Shuri was? I guess that's just one of those movie things. Like, how exactly did she was able to kind of sneak in and find that? But I guess it's just like one of those movie things. I guess.
Yeah, because Ross had her beads, the thing that she could have tracked her with, but she didn't have her beads. So I forget how she
Well, she did have
conveniently.
her earrings. I think that were the bead. I think so. I guess maybe she just followed the
Yes,
signal of the beads. Okay,
yes.
follow the yeah yeah yeah. Okay, so she had that.
You are correct. Yes.
Yeah.
I guess that's how Wakandan technology.
Yeah, those bees can do everything. They can save bullets. They can,
Everything.
yeah, you can eat vibranium.
Spy drones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
spy drones. They can, yeah, they can do everything. Bees can do everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
everything.
So yeah, that can be some of my thoughts. I would love to see a Namor movie if they do that. I think that'd be really good. This is how you do an anti-hero. They did a pretty good job at doing really great anti-hero there.
Yeah, yeah. Like we have another villain in the MCU. I don't count Thanos. Like you can't justify genocide, fam. You can't.
Mm.
There's no argument to justify. I'm sorry. I Thanos. He's not up there for me for villains. For me, it's Killmonger, Vulture, Wen Wu from Shang-Chi,
Yeah, he
and
was
now
good.
Namor. These are characters. These are characters who I understand. I can empathize. I can root for. If I see them win, I'm not mad about it. Like, um, Vulture was a blue collar guy trying to provide for his family. That's it. I'm not hurting anyone. I'm just stealing alien tech, selling weapons. I'm making money. It's a business. What they do with those alien weapons are done, but I just sell them. I'm not killing anyone first, like directly. Um, Wen Wu just wanted his wife, just wanted his family back. At its core, Shang-Chi is a broken family trying to come back together. Um, Killmonger, angry black man in America who could have been a happy black man if he was raised in just this safe haven and mecca for black excellence. He grew up with the African American experience and
Mm.
just saw horrible things happening to people who to his people in this country while Wakandans had their invisible wall, technology, peace, tranquility, thriving. Um, yeah, Namor is that, but with more compassion, with more heart, and nobility than Killmonger for sure.
Yeah, yeah. You bring up the point about Thanos. You can't say you can't justify genocide. It's like that what if episode with Thanos where he's like, well, it's not really genocide because I mean, it's random. So it's like, I mean, you can't really say that's genocide. Yeah, it's random.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, yeah. That was. I mean, that was a great discussion, man.
Oh, um, Josh,
Mhm.
how did you feel about the ending? It just ends with Letitia with Shuri on the beach, kind of done mourning. Like the movie ends there. Like it cuts to black and the credits roll. How'd you feel about the ending?
I really enjoyed because it very much mirrored the opening. Because if the opening, it's on Twitter now, but the opening with Chadwick, where it's not the usual Marvel Studios, because typically it shows all the movies and things like that they've done over the past, over what decade now, 14, 13 years now. But in this one, it
Mhm.
was just Chadwick. It was just Chadwick and seeing him and footage of him. And it was silent. It was completely silent. They didn't do the traditional Marvel, theme that plays over that. I thought that was good. And then for the movie to end with her just burning it and her crying and her just you see her thinking about Chadwick. You see the scenes kind of playing of there, and I like how you said they didn't add in like extra, stuff or what I mean. They just the stuff you saw
Yeah,
there was the stuff you saw in the movie already. So I thought
yeah,
that was really good, and it ends silently there too. Well, no, because they play what they play "Lift Me Up." They play Rihanna's "Lift Me Up" at
yeah.
the end. So I thought that hit.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, did you cry in the movie?
so I was okay until the very end when his son was revealed and he said, "I'm Prince T'Challa, son of King T'Challa." Damn,
Mm.
damn, they got me. Um, but yeah, like this is a superhero movie in the MCU, and it ends with no finality. There's no dramatic. I am Iron Man. There's no, you know, um, like who are you? And then it cuts to black. It's just she's on the beach. She's sobbing. She starts to smile because she's coming to terms with it, and it ends. Like those kind of decisions, that kind of direction makes this movie feel like a smaller indie film compared to the first one. Like these small, quiet moments where characters are allowed to feel. Like the movie starts, throws you in, she's scrambling, and the movie ends with her in calm. And like I'm thinking, oh, it's not gonna end here. It's gonna cut back to a of for some reason, but no, it ends here with Shuri quiet, sitting alone on the beach. That's how the movie ends. I was like, wow, I like that a lot. I like that a lot.
Mm. Yeah, I like those moments. Yeah, I thought that was really sweet. I would love to read the original script of this movie.
Yeah,
If Ryan Coogler ever wanted to put that, I'd love to read it. Love to see what they did with that. Um, yeah, yeah. Hey man, this was a great discussion. Glad you came on for it. Loved having you on for it. Yeah. Absolutely. So that was Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Spoiler discussion. Um, I'll just get out of here. I'll find somebody to raid. I'll do the reviews with Nick maybe just Friday. I'll do that. So yeah, I'll find somebody to raid. Are you on Twitch at all?
not yet. Sam, my co-host, he's more of a gamer than I am, so I'm trying to get just make a Black Stubs Twitch account and have him just run it, just play a game, stream playing something, and you know, if he wants to talk about movies in the comments, or I do want just to be on Twitch and have the Black Stubs name out there. Yeah, but congratulations! I know you hit a milestone on YouTube recently.
Milestone. Which one was that one? I don't know.
I think 2 weeks ago, you hit a certain number of subs on YouTube, and you were like, and,
Oh, I think
uh,
that's when we got to like maybe 250 or I think something like that. 250. So we're like,
yes,
yeah, 250,
yes,
close to 300. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. We're at
yes,
like 256 right now. So, yeah, edging up closer,
yes.
like 54 away. We're almost getting pretty much like a sub every day. So that's pretty cool. So that's
Yeah,
pretty
man,
awesome.
congratulations.
Thank you, man. Yeah. So, pimp your stuff. Let everybody know where they can find you, find the Black Stubs podcast, everything
Yes.
like that, man.
Yeah, I love the afternoon tune. I love coming here. Love talking to Josh and Nick. They're great people, great fans. I love their takes. They're always just great conversation, always respectful. I am Chris. Me and my friend Sam have a podcast called The Black Subs on Spotify. We just talk about movies and TV, passionate about. And you can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter at The Black Stubs. It's just we just have a platform where we just talk and show passion about the things we are watching, the things we love. So we're just nerds celebrating the content and stories and characters that we love. So follow us on social media. Find us at the Black Stubs.